Hollywood has always shined with glamour, success stories, and stars lighting up the big screen. However, behind the spotlight, many actors have faced significant challenges in hiding their true identities. In a world where fame and career opportunities can be influenced by personal decisions, coming out about one's sexual orientation hasn't always been an easy choice. Before society became more accepting of the LGBTQ+ community, many gay actors had to live in silence, keep their personal relationships hidden, and often deal with the fear of losing professional opportunities. However, many of them, despite paying a high price for their authenticity, chose to break the silence and publicly embrace their true love. Below are the stories of 15 gay actors who chose to live their truth, even though the journey was full of challenges. If you find these stories of brave actors inspiring and meaningful, don't forget to leave a comment with 1 if you relate to the 15 actors, or 0 if you have a different perspective. Make sure to like and share so your friends can follow along with this powerful story. Let's start with the first name, Jonathan Bailey, the British man who is breaking all stereotypes with his class and courage. Jonathan Bailey is living proof that times are changing, even if slowly. He's a talented British actor, refined and classically trained in Shakespearean theater. He rose to global fame for his role as Anthony Bridgerton in Netflix's wildly successful series Bridgerton. Playing a powerful, charming, and highly desired nobleman, he delivered intense romantic scenes that have been widely talked about in recent times. To the public, Jonathan is a new symbol of romantic masculinity. But what many people didn't know at the time was that Jonathan Bailey is gay. Unlike what happened decades ago, Jonathan didn't have to hide the truth about who he is. However, that doesn't mean his journey was easy. In several interviews, Jonathan shared that early in his career, he was advised not to come out, to keep his true identity private. The reason? People in the industry believed that audiences wouldn't be able to accept a gay actor playing the lead in a heterosexual love story. Once again, Hollywood's outdated formula and hypocrisy showed their face. But Jonathan didn't accept that. With courage, he chose not to hide his identity just to satisfy outdated stereotypes. When Bridgerton premiered, Jonathan came out, and the result surprised everyone. Instead of being rejected, he was warmly embraced by audiences all over the world. Millions of fans, both men and women, admire his acting, charisma, and deep emotional expression. His presence in a series of films celebrating love, desire, and diversity has helped break down stereotypes. He has proven that a gay man can absolutely be the leading character in a heterosexual love story, and do it brilliantly. Because talent knows no orientation, he also uses his fame to spark conversations about the pressures of the closet, the construction of masculinity, and the importance of expressing love in all its forms. Elliot Page, the transgender actor, has challenged Hollywood by living his truth. Formerly known as Ellen Page, Elliot gained worldwide recognition through films like Juno, Inception, and X-Men, Days of Future Past. For years, he was praised for his intelligent, nuanced, and emotionally rich performances, even while facing one of the biggest internal conflicts of his life: the disconnect between his public identity and his true gender identity. In 2014, Elliot came out as gay, at the time still identifying as female. His heartfelt speech at a human rights conference became one of the most memorable moments of the decade. However, the truth ran even deeper. In December 2020, Elliot made a revelation that not only changed his own life, but also shifted how Hollywood views transgender individuals. He came out as transgender, a courageous act in an industry still burdened by gender stereotypes. The public response was largely positive and supportive, but his bravery was undeniable. Elliot began to open up about the pressure he felt when playing female roles in the past, despite that not being his true identity. He spoke about the silent pain, the anxiety, and the feeling of wanting to escape every time he looked in the mirror. After transitioning, Elliot not only maintained his career, but expanded it. He currently continues to star in the Umbrella Academy, with his character now also portrayed as transgender. Elliot has become one of the most influential voices advocating for transgender and non-binary individuals. His activism isn't limited to statements or social media posts. Elliot lives authentically. He is a symbol, an inspiration, and a community educator. He actively takes part in awareness campaigns and supports the LGBTQ+ community. His brave transition has opened the door for countless others to live their truth. And now, Elliot is no longer shying away from the spotlight. He's leading a wave of change. Ricky Martin, the Latin Astro, broke the silence before the entire world. He's not just a successful singer, he's a global icon of Latin pop culture. From the US to Europe and Latin America, he set stages on fire with his explosive energy, captivating voice, and magnetic presence. With hits like Livin' La Vida Loca, She Bangs, and La Copa de la Vida, Ricky became a sensation in the late 1990s. He rose to become one of the most famous artists on the planet, and a sex symbol for millions. However, behind that success was a heavy silence and immense pressure. Hollywood had crafted him as the ideal image of Latin masculinity, a man of irresistible charm. For years, any rumors about his sexuality were quickly shut down by his team. Ricky dodged questions in interviews, deflecting whenever asked directly. The world continued to see him as a heterosexual sex symbol, while inside, he was battling deep inner conflict. The turning point came in 2010, when Ricky Martin came out as gay. In an open letter published on his official website, he wrote with heartfelt sincerity and emotion. Ricky admitted that after years of self-questioning and fear, he finally felt ready to live his truth. He also shared that hiding his identity had not only caused him personal pain, but had also affected his children's right to grow up in honesty and authenticity. Ricky's revelation sent shockwaves through global pop culture. Some people were surprised, while others said, "We already knew." But what mattered most was the overwhelming respect and support he received from fans around the world. Ricky didn't just come out. He became a powerful LGBTQ+ activist. He stood up for human rights, fought against discrimination, and helped shift public perception of the gay community. Ricky Martin proved that you can be true to yourself and still be loved and respected. His journey has become a source of inspiration for millions around the world. He has used his visibility to speak out against homophobia, prejudice, and the violence that has made so many people like him feel like prisoners of others' expectations. Wentworth Miller, the action hero who broke out of the prison of silence. Wentworth Miller rose to global fame as Michael Scofield, the brilliant main character of the hit series Prison Break. The role not only catapulted him to stardom, but also turned him into a male sex symbol during the early 2000s. With his piercing gaze, strong physique, and subtle acting style, Miller embodied the ideal image of masculinity. He captivated millions with every frame. But behind the glamour was a life filled with pain, fear, and loneliness, the result of years spent constantly hiding his true self. Miller had previously denied being gay and avoided any questions about his personal life in interviews. His romantic life became off-limits, and his responses were always neutral to protect the image the industry imposed on him. Surrounded by rumors, the pressure to maintain a masculine facade was overwhelming. He felt forced to accept this, not out of weakness, but out of fear of the consequences of living his truth in such a judgmental environment. Everything changed in 2013 when Miller received an invitation to attend a film festival in Russia at a time when the country had just passed severe anti-gay laws. It was in that moment that he decided to break his silence. He publicly declined the invitation, and in a heartfelt letter that was widely shared, Miller officially came out as gay. He stated that he could not accept an invitation to a place where people like him were treated cruelly, attacked, or even killed simply for loving someone of the same sex. The letter quickly went viral, and his action was hailed as a brave and humane declaration. In 2020, Miller once again made headlines when he announced that he would no longer play heterosexual characters in films. He stated that he no longer wanted to pretend or contribute to reinforcing stereotypes that didn't reflect his true self. This was not just a personal decision, but a powerful statement to the entire industry. It was time to listen to and respect gender and identity diversity. His declaration sparked lively debate and was also met with deep admiration. Wentworth Miller, someone who knows the cost of living a lie, chose truth and courageously stepped into the light. Jim Parsons, the comedic genius who proved that living your truth is also a wonderful thing. Jim Parsons became a global phenomenon thanks to his role as Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory. With his unique acting style, combining humor with depth, he won 4 Emmy Awards and became one of the highest-paid television actors in the world. However, for many years, Jim lived with caution and reserve. He did not publicly disclose his sexual orientation until 2012, despite having a partner who had been by his side for over a decade. The reason, as he shared, was the fear of jeopardizing his career, one that he had worked hard to build in an industry still filled with prejudice. When Jim made the decision to come out as gay, he didn't just do it gently. He did it with ease, quietly but with confidence. He began to appear publicly with his partner at events, gradually becoming an icon for successful LGBTQ+ individuals in the entertainment industry. Without the need for bold declarations, Jim's simplicity and sincerity became a powerful voice. In it, he played a quirky, methodical, and humorous theoretical physicist who captivated the public with his talent, despite societal expectations. This character became a pop culture icon, earning Parsons 4 Emmy Awards and a Golden Globe, and making him one of the highest-paid actors on television. But behind that immense success lies a life story marked by introspection, resistance, and a conscious choice to live his truth with dignity. For much of the show's run, Jim Parsons chose not to publicly discuss his sexual orientation. He never lived in the closet, but he also never made any official statements until 2012. In an interview with the New York Times, he simply and directly mentioned that he was gay and had been living with his partner, graphic designer Todd Spywak, for over a decade. The natural way in which he revealed his truth was as powerful as any activist's speech, as he didn't turn it into an event but simply incorporated it into his life story. This choice marked a pivotal moment, showing that Parsons could live both a public and private life in balance, without creating a false persona to please Hollywood. He was never afraid of losing roles because of publicly coming out. On the contrary, he became more involved in projects that reflected his personal worldview. A clear example is his role in The Normal Heart, where he portrayed an activist for gay rights during the early years of the AIDS epidemic. The film was emotional, raw, and powerful, exposing a dramatic and intense side of Parsons' acting, which had previously been mostly known for his humor. This role not only showcased his artistic depth, but also reaffirmed his clear social commitment. Zachary Quinto is a representative figure of the new generation who dares to live his truth. Zachary Quinto is a clear example that talent, courage, and social commitment can coexist powerfully in the entertainment industry. He is known for his deep performances and mysterious presence, with the ability to bring life to complex, introspective roles. Quinto came out as gay in 2011, at a time that was both sensitive and emotional. This decision came after the tragic death of Jamie Rodemeyer, a teenager who took his own life after being bullied for being gay. Shocked and deeply moved by the incident, Quinto realized that he could no longer remain silent while young people like Jamie were dying because of their identity. In an open letter, he declared that being gay was an important and sacred part of who he was. He could no longer stay silent or pretend to be neutral. His actions sparked a powerful wave in the media and on social media. Quinto was quickly praised by the public and the arts community for his courage. Not only is he a role model for the LGBTQ+ youth, but he is also respected for his integrity and compassion. Unlike many actors who fear their careers will be affected, Zachary Quinto proved the opposite. His career not only didn't decline, but flourished. He continued to land leading roles in major films, taking on deep and complex characters in cinema, television, and theater. At the same time, he became one of the most prominent and influential LGBTQ+ activists today. Neil Patrick Harris, a master of humor and also a symbol of authenticity in Hollywood. He became globally famous for his role as Barney Stinson, a charming, promiscuous, yet incredibly smart and funny player in How I Met Your Mother. This character was completely different from Neil's true self, but he portrayed the role so convincingly that the public was shocked when they learned he was gay. Neil Patrick Harris came out in 2006 with a brief but bold statement expressing that he was proud to be a gay man living happily. Neil Patrick Harris is one of the most versatile and captivating figures in modern entertainment, with surprising facets that stand out. A multi-talented individual, ranging from acting to hosting major award shows, he is globally recognized for his notable roles such as the womanizing Barney Stinson in How I Met Your Mother, the prematurely brilliant but tragic Doogie Howser, MD, and his humorous portrayals of himself in films like Harold and Kumar. But what makes his story even more remarkable is the way he has faced and overcome stigma. As a gay actor playing a womanizing role for an extended period of time, it was not easy. Neil kept his personal life private, neither denying nor confirming his sexual orientation in the early stages of his career. Everything changed in 2006 when he decided to publicly come out in a direct and straightforward statement after the press began speculating about his love life. In his statement, he casually said that he was happy, loved, and at peace with anyone, expressing confidence and self-acceptance without drama. This was a courageous and unexpected move, especially as he was at the height of his success playing a character that was completely the opposite of his true self. What followed was revolutionary and contrary to the usual concerns in the entertainment industry. Neil did not lose fans, contracts, or fame. On the contrary, his popularity skyrocketed due to his authenticity. The public recognized his courage and transparency, which not only solidified his personal image, but also helped him secure a strong position in Hollywood. He continued to star in How I Met Your Mother for many more seasons, earning numerous prestigious awards. Moreover, Neil became the host of major award shows like the Tonys, Emmys, and even the Oscars, further cementing his talent and versatility. He is not only an actor, but also a well-rounded performer, a modern icon. Neil broke the stereotype that gay actors cannot successfully portray heterosexual roles. With his role as Barney Stinson, he left a strong cultural legacy in modern television. Off-screen, Neil Patrick Harris has a stable and admired relationship with his partner, David Burtka. Together, they raised twin sons and have become one of the most famous, enduring, and respected couples in the entertainment industry. Their family frequently shares loving and authentic everyday moments, helping to break the stereotype that same-sex couples are incompatible with the ideal of family. Their presence in popular culture is a powerful statement about the normalcy and beauty of same-sex love. With intelligence, humor, and honesty, Neil has helped change the way millions of people view the LGBTQ+ community. Ian McKellen, the acting wizard, has become a warrior for equality. Sir Ian McKellen is not only a legendary actor, but also a cornerstone of British theatre, a giant in global cinema, and one of the most powerful and respected voices in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights. Born in conservative England, McKellen built a solid career in classical theatre, particularly through Shakespeare's plays. He is lauded for his intense and erudite acting, which has earned him recognition as one of the greatest names in performing arts. However, it wasn't until he stepped into the world of cinema that his global fame truly exploded. With roles like Magneto in the X-Men series and Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, Ian McKellen reached audiences across all demographics worldwide. For decades, he kept his sexuality hidden from the media, not out of fear, but as a survival strategy in a still prejudiced society. McKellen came out as gay in 1988 when he protested the anti-gay propaganda laws in the UK, a pivotal moment for both him personally and for the community. Since then, he has become a tireless activist, advocating for equal rights and fighting against discrimination wherever he appears. The British stage and international cinema have long been hostile environments for actors who deviate from the heterosexual norm due to the power structures in place. However, in 1988, something shifted dramatically. The UK government was about to pass the notorious Section 28, a law that banned the promotion of homosexuality in schools and public organizations. For this reason, Ian decided it was time to stop hiding. In a live radio interview, he publicly declared that he was gay and never looked back. From that moment on, McKellen became one of the world's most prominent LGBTQ+ activists. Sir Ian has founded organizations, stood up against politicians, challenged prejudices, and used his fame to open doors that had been closed for centuries. For many years, he has been a positive voice in campaigns against prejudice. He visited schools, spoke at universities, and participated in public events to combat homophobia in various organizations. All of this took place alongside a brilliant artistic career. McKellen has proven that authenticity and talent are not opposing forces. On the contrary, his honesty has inspired others and created a vibrant legacy. Matt Bomer, the epitome of perfect handsomeness, chose to live authentically at the height of his fame. For many, Matt Bomer represents the definition of modern beauty, with deep-set eyes, symmetrical features, and a natural charm. He rose to prominence in Hollywood thanks to his alluring, intelligent, and complex roles. He is widely known for playing Neil Caffrey in the TV series White Collar, followed by roles in Magic Mike, The Normal Heart, and The Sinner. But what makes him even more special is the way he came out when his career was at its peak. For many years, Matt kept his personal life private, partly to protect himself and partly as a career strategy. The industry was still cautious about openly gay actors taking on romantic or sexy roles. However, within the industry, Matt's relationship with public relations expert Simon Halls had been known since the early 2000s. The couple maintained a private, strong relationship and together raised 3 children through surrogate motherhood. It was a stable and wonderful family that the public only learned about years later. In 2012, during an emotional speech while accepting an award for his support in the fight against HIV, Matt Bomer decided to open up to the world. He thanked his husband and children with simple yet heartfelt words. Without embellishment or drama, his thank you was a quiet yet powerful affirmation. He was one of the most sought-after men on American television, and he calmly revealed that he was living true love with another man. The initial response was one of surprise, admiration, and, in some corners of the industry, concern. But the ultimate result was the complete opposite. Matt didn't lose any roles, nor did his career decline. On the contrary, he was further celebrated as a symbol of authenticity. Shortly after, his role in The Normal Heart, a drama depicting the early days of the AIDS epidemic in the United States, touched the hearts of millions. In the film, Matt portrayed a fragile, vulnerable gay man, delivering a heartfelt and deeply emotional performance. This role earned him a Golden Globe and garnered critical acclaim. It wasn't just a performance, it was a fusion of acting and his true self. Matt Bomer used his own truth to create art that resonated deeply with audiences. Luke Evans, the handsome actor, has confronted prejudice with elegance and boldness. Luke is one of the few whose public image and private life coexist so naturally. With his strong, rugged appearance and powerful singing voice, he has made his mark in films like The Hobbit, Beauty and the Beast, and Dracula Untold. From the beginning of his career, Luke neither denied nor hid who he was. He chose to live authentically, normalizing his presence as a gay man in a Hollywood full of conventions. He clashed with stereotypes, but he managed to unite them with dignity. Born in Wales, Evans began his career on the London musical stage before conquering Hollywood with his commanding presence. His standout voice and classical beauty quickly made him one of the most sought-after action and fantasy stars. Films like Dracula Untold, Beauty and the Beast, Fast and Furious, and The Hobbit built his image as a masculine, strong, and entirely heterosexual man in the eyes of the public. But behind that archetype was a truth that Luke never denied. He is gay. Luke Evans admitted his sexual orientation early in his career on the stage, in musicals like Rent and Miss Saigon. At that time, he lived his truth freely and naturally. However, as he transitioned to film, the pressure began to increase. Producers and agents suggested that he be more discreet, not publicly share his personal life, so as not to affect his leading man image in commercial films. For a time, he chose silence, not out of shame, but as a form of self-protection in the harsh industry. But that silence was never a denial. Luke didn't lie, didn't fabricate relationships with women, and didn't pretend. He simply kept his privacy without hiding his true self. In some interviews, he openly shared that he didn't see his sexual orientation as something that defined him, and he didn't want to be labeled as a gay actor. He was just an actor. His example shows that you can live your truth without having to give up the spotlight. That identity doesn't need to be explained, just lived. Colman Domingo, a quiet strength, breaking the silence with pride. Colman is living proof that authenticity and talent can coexist, even in an industry that has long tried to separate the two. Born in Philadelphia as the son of a modest African-American family, Colman built his career with sweat, patience, and quiet courage. Today, he is known for his outstanding performances in Fear the Walking Dead, Euphoria, Zola, and Rustin. He has established himself as one of the most talented and influential actors of his generation. Colman Domingo has consistently demonstrated unwavering integrity in his identity as a black, gay man. What makes his journey so powerful is how he has never allowed his sexual orientation to become a barrier in his career. In an industry where black men have struggled to land leading roles, coming out as gay adds yet another invisible obstacle. But Colman has never let that dim his worth. He refuses to let his identity be viewed as a label or something to be stigmatized. He simply lives authentically and shines. Colman's presence is a politically symbolic act, quiet yet powerful. His roles are a declaration of talent, sensitivity, and strength. Unlike others who are forced to come out by the media, Colman has always controlled his own journey, stepping into the spotlight with pride. He is married to designer Raul Domingo and often mentions his personal life naturally, without fanfare. For him, normalizing the LGBTQ+ experience comes from the peace of living authentically, not from constantly having to justify his existence. Dan Amboyer may not be as widely known to the public as some of the others on this list, but his story is powerful and symbolic. He is recognized for his role as Prince William in the TV movie William and Catherine, a royal romance, and for appearances in shows like Younger and The Blacklist. Amboye has always had the image of a handsome, well-mannered, reserved, and charming man, often cast in roles as the ideal man. That's exactly why his decision to publicly come out as a gay man in 2017 was surprising and simultaneously marked a pivotal moment in how Hollywood handles the authenticity of its artists. For many years, Dan chose to keep his sexual orientation private from the media, not out of shame, but out of fear of the consequences that such a simple truth could bring. He knew that stereotypes still existed in the industry, and revealing this aspect of his life could significantly limit the types of roles he would be offered. The fear of being labeled as a gay actor rather than simply being seen as an actor always haunted him. But in October 2017, everything changed when he came out in an incredibly heartfelt and courageous move. In an emotional post, Amboye not only came out as gay, but also announced his marriage to longtime partner Eric P. Berger. It was a doubly courageous act, living authentically and publicly revealing a relationship that he had kept hidden from the media spotlight for years. The response from the public and industry professionals was largely positive. Many colleagues in the industry praised his honesty and his decision to live without hiding his true self. This event paved the way for deeper conversations within the entertainment industry. Since then, Dan Amboye has become a role model for young actors still grappling with the dilemma of balancing their careers and living freely. He has shared in numerous interviews the burden of hiding his true self, the relief of living openly, and his hope for a future where LGBTQ+ actors can exist without needing to make public declarations or fear judgment. Dan's story is yet another testament that living authentically is not just a personal act, but also a significant contribution to the community. Tom Hulce, the genius Mozart shines in silence. Tom Hulce made cinematic history with his outstanding portrayal of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in the Oscar-winning film Amadeus, released in 1984. His performance as the brilliant composer was intense, emotionally rich, and incredibly captivating, earning him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. This role solidified his place as one of the major talents in 1980s American cinema. However, few know that behind the fame and overwhelming success, there was a part of his life he kept hidden from the public. Tom Hulce is gay, but unlike some of his colleagues who chose to live openly or use their fame as a platform for activism, he opted for silence. Not out of shame, but because he felt that his private life did not need to be brought into the spotlight as a statement. Hulce kept his personal life private, never responding to questions about his sexuality and never appearing publicly with a partner. However, those within the industry and his close friends knew that he was a genuine and kind person. In his silence, Tom Hulce remains an icon of a top-tier artist living true to himself. With his partner, he avoided discussing their relationship and was constantly the subject of media speculation. Over the years, many rumors about his sexuality spread, but he refused to satisfy the media's curiosity, maintaining a discreet and private demeanor. It wasn't until 2008, when Tom Hulce was no longer the center of Hollywood attention, that he publicly confirmed he was gay, doing so calmly and almost casually, as if it were a simple acknowledgement. This delayed statement did not diminish his glamour, but it highlighted how oppressive the environment still was for actors wishing to embrace their homosexuality. In the 1980s and 1990s, even for those recognized for their talent and highly praised by critics, many believed that Holtz's silence was a strategy for self-preservation, as film studios were not favorable toward openly gay actors playing heterosexual roles. The fear of losing opportunities, being labeled and fading into obscurity, was real and entirely justified. After Amadeus, Hulce continued acting, but his focus gradually shifted to work behind the scenes. He became a highly respected theater producer, accumulating Tony Awards for successful plays and investing in stories that highlighted diversity. He worked tirelessly behind the scenes on Broadway, creating space for new voices and stories that had previously been overlooked. Wilson Cruz, the first to truly represent himself in prime time. Wilson Cruz is not only a talented actor, but also a true milestone in the history of LGBTQ representation on American television. Born in New York to Puerto Rican immigrant parents, Wilson grew up facing two challenges: being gay and Latino in a society full of prejudice. He understood from a young age that his very existence was an act of resistance, and with this courage, he became the first openly gay actor to portray a gay character on primetime American television when he brought Ricky Vasquez to life in the 1994 series My So-Called Life. At that time, such representation was almost non-existent. The portrayal of a young gay character with a different racial background, deeply explored with real conflicts, was unheard of. Wilson didn't just play this role with authenticity, he lived it. And that's exactly what impacted millions of viewers and paved the way for other LGBTQ stories to be brought to the screen. But this exposure came with painful consequences. Wilson was even kicked out of his home by his father when he came out as gay. He faced financial hardship, emotional instability, and the burden of becoming a public figure at a time when homophobia was still rampant, even within the entertainment industry itself. Despite this, he never stayed silent. On the contrary, he used his presence to actively fight for inclusion, dignity, and equality. Over time, Wilson Cruz has established himself as a powerful voice for the LGBT community, both on and off the screen. He starred in notable works such as Party of Five, Star Trek, Discovery, and 13 Reasons Why, but always emphasized connecting his artistic career with social activism. He became an important figure in the fight against HIV, advocating for LGBT youth living in vulnerable circumstances and participating in initiatives against racism. Wilson is a testament to the fact that courage and art can coexist within the very structure of this industry. Rupert Everett paid the price for authenticity in Hollywood. Born in the United Kingdom, Everett gained worldwide fame with his unique charm and refined talent, standing out in films like Another Country, where he portrayed a young gay man in the oppressive environment of British society, and My Best Friend's Wedding, where he shone alongside Julia Roberts, becoming a symbol of the LGBTQ community in the cinema of the 1990s. What many people don't know is that Rupert Everett was one of the first major actors to publicly come out as gay in the 1980s. At a time when coming out was almost synonymous with the end of a promising career in Hollywood, Everett took a bold step. Unlike many of his colleagues who chose to maintain the image they had built, Everett revealed in several interviews that after publicly coming out as gay, offers for lead roles virtually vanished. Directors and producers began to see him as a difficult casting choice. Despite his considerable talent, the romantic, handsome roles he naturally and powerfully portrayed started to disappear from view. The actor even mentioned that if he had kept his sexual orientation a secret, he could have become a star on par with Hugh Grant. With each story of these LGBTQ+ actors, we gain a clearer understanding of the power of honesty and courage, not only in art, but also in life. They have changed perceptions, broken down prejudices, and opened new opportunities for future generations. Their brave actions have made significant progress in the fight for equality and acceptance in society. Don't forget to hit like and share this post to help amplify the power of positive change. Together, we can build a world where everyone, no matter who they are, is respected and loved. Your action today could be the first step toward changing the future.